My friends just bought the brand new G87 M2, and I think this is the perfect opportunity to find out if this car is better than the outgoing F87 M2 competition.
This is the G87 BMW M2. It's 11cm longer and 3cm wider than the previous M2 competition. It has a twin-turbo 3-litre S58 engine, producing 453 brake horsepower and 550 Nm of torque. It will do 0 to 62 in 4.3 seconds, and coupled with its 8-speed ZF gearbox, it will do a top speed of 155 or 177 miles an hour with the optional M Drivers package. The interior has seen a huge upgrade, taking its design inspiration from the G80 M3 and M4. We have an ultra-wide curved screen with a whole new iDrive system featuring all the driver aids possible. I particularly like the way the user interface looks. The interior is far superior than its predecessor, and there is an increase in cabin space, making the rear seats more usable. From the M accent on the doors to the carbon accents on the centre console, you are reminded you are in one of M Division's finest.
So we'll start our road test off in comfort mode. This is the best comfort mode that I've driven out of any BMW so far. It is really responsive. If you put your foot down, I don't think any other comfort mode is that responsive. It almost feels like you're in sport, so it dreads me to think what sport's going to be like. The car is definitely wider, and you do notice that when you drive it. I mean, this is the first time I'm driving this car now, and I'm getting used to it on roads, but I do find myself kind of dying between the middle line and the edge of the road because I'm getting used to its width. It's because the rear is so wide, and you don't forget it because you look in those mirrors, you're reminded every single time at how wide these rear arches are. But I love the look on this car, and I think it adds so much to the aesthetic. Now, if you're a fan of touring car, you'll know what boxed arches do, and the E30 M3 had boxed arches, and it kind of reminds me of that. Speaking of looks, this car didn't actually get good reception from people when it was first launched. I mean, I saw it at Goodwood Festival of Speed, and I didn't like it, I'm going to be honest with you, but let's just face it, you spend more time in its interior than exterior. There is one aesthetic mod that I'd love to do on this car, and that is the yellow kind of front lights, which I'm not sure what model they came on. I don't know if they were the CSL concepts inspired, but I really like those. As far as comfort mode goes, it's a massive improvement over the original M2. The car feels more complete, and it does feel quite premium. Is it 70 grand's worth at the moment? I don't feel it yet, but ultimately it does feel like a step up. So that being said, let's take it to M1 and let's find out exactly how much difference this car makes when it's unleashed. All right, we've got some twisty roads. Let's see what this M2's like in the corners. So on the brakes, we're in M1 mode, so we're on sport across the board. Oh, you can really feel the front just drag the car back in. Almost feels like something else is doing a bit of the work for me. The whole feeling and experience is so much different to the M2 comp. What is actually different? Well, first of all is the audible tone from the engine. It's a lot deeper, but the way the car pulls through the gears is insane. We're in third and fourth, and it honestly feels like you're doing a first or second gear pull. With the S55 in the M2 competition, coupled with that DCT and its short wheelbase, it was very skittish and lively, but it almost felt a bit incomplete, and this kind of dials it down and kind of rounds off where all of the incompletion was in the M2 comp, and you can feel that through its handling and its power delivery. What does that mean though? Does it mean it's less driver focused? It means you can get more out of it. This gearbox, it's lightning fast. I mean, we've gotten rid of the DCT now. We've got a ZF 8-speed gearbox, which a lot of people are apprehensive about, but you know what? These gearboxes have come such a long way with all the engineering that's gone into them, and you just don't really need the double clutches anymore. So one thing I've noticed immediately as you get up in the rev range, you can see on the instrument cluster that you get these M shift lights. They kind of come in from the top. The steering has improved massively, so it kind of makes it feel so much lighter, and the way the power just kicks in, it kind of feels like the car is a lot lighter. It just mastered it so well.
So far so good, but how does it compare to the big boys at Porsche?
The owner of this M2, he had a 718 GT4 before, and in his response, he says this car drives like the Porsche. It's not better than the Porsche from a driver's point of view. I mean, it's faster, that's for sure. However, it just feels more dialed in like a Porsche, more driver focused like a Porsche. And the guys at the M division have really worked their magic on this thing, because you can feel those upgrades. Are they worth double the money? Yes. Honestly, I love what they've done with this thing. It is a big, big step up. The steering in M just feels so precise. It's nicely weighted. I don't like the thickness of the steering wheel. The brakes feel good. They haven't gone spongy on me today. Oh my God, this thing is so much better than the old M2 Comp. Look at that, we're straight on the power and we just go through the gears. I have so much confidence on the brakes because they just work. Look, we're coming to a junction now and it's raining and it's slippery and we're just gonna go on. Okay, we did lock up a little bit there, but you get my point. Used sensibly, they worked just fine. So that concludes the road test of the G87 M2. Oh my God, is this car so much more improved over the F87 M2 competition? But at double the price, that question remains, should you upgrade your M2 to one of these? Not only is it faster, has better handling, is more luxurious than the outgoing F87 M2, it feels more mature in every way and definitely deserves that M badge. I would use the word understated to describe the new M2, but that's not really quite fitting because just look at the thing, and I know its looks will divide a lot of people. I personally have grown to it and I would actually buy one of these cars provided I can get one for cheap. And that reminds me, they have now depreciated somewhat because you can now find examples with about 1,000 or 2,000 miles on them going for about £55,000, which is significantly less than what they were sold for new. So out of the two cars, I would definitely choose the new M2 if I could afford it. It's more sophisticated than the old M2, and to be honest, as I get older, this is the kind of car I want to be driving. Yes, the looks are extreme, but honestly, you spend most of the time inside the car and that interior is definitely worth it. So if you enjoyed this episode of Cars with Jay, please hit that like button, and if you want to see more from my channel, please subscribe.